Hi, I'm John. I'm an engineer by trade and also an expert in fitness machines. And I've got a cross trainer here because I want to explain to you, try and get over why it's important to keep these kind of machines in the right environment. In other words, why it's not a good idea to keep them perhaps in an unheated garage or a shed or a conservatory or outbuilding or someplace like that. LCD displays can become a little bit slow to respond, they become laggy, and that can easily be interpreted as a problem with the console, when in actual fact usually you get those problems when the temperature's cold, because the liquid crystal in the display can't react quickly enough until it's above a certain temperature. So you can start to see how that could affect the performance of the console. Also, in a cold environment, the metalwork of the machine will be at ambient temperature, and if that temperature happens to be, let's say 0 degrees or -5 degrees, and you go into the garage or your shed and start working out, or even worse still, you pop a heater on and suddenly heat the room, then all of the moisture and humidity which is in the air is going to start to condensate out on the cold metalwork of your machine. It's rather like having a cold pint of beer and you can see the condensation form around the glass. Well, it's just the same on the machine. Imagine what's going to happen to the electronics. You'll have the same kind of effect going on to the electronics. You've got electronics here and electronics in the back, and you've got electronic switches. All of those things are going to be subject to that moisture, which can cause little short circuit paths and then start to give you, let's say, intermittent problems at the very least, or in some cases it can cause a catastrophic failure and you'll end up with a failed printed circuit board. And things like that are not particularly cheap to replace. So you need to watch out for that. There is an easy way to get around it. I mean, I appreciate that sometimes you have to keep it in a shed or a garage because that's the only space you've got. And if that's the case, then it's worth investing in a product such as a treadmill heater, which is it's effectively a low wattage heater which you position near the machine. It works just as well with cross trainers or bikes or vibration plates or whatever. But that will, it's like a frost-stat, it's like a frost guard if you like. It will keep just the machine at a temperature which is just high enough to stop the condensation forming on the frame and on the electronics. So that would be one way to solve the problem. Unfortunately, things like putting a blanket over the machine is not really going to make any difference other than keeping the dust off. So that's one thing you can do. Other aspects, if let's imagine you were to keep this in a conservatory where you've got bright sunshine. Conservatories are generally south facing, so they're subject to a lot of bright sunshine. You can find that direct sunshine on the machines can start to affect the adhesive on the membrane keypads, so you might start to get the membranes peel off and the buttons may start to fail, and you could also get fading on the plastic and these buttons here. So again, think of the direct sunlight and where you're positioning the machine, and also from your own point of view as well. You know, it's think of the environment that you'd like to work out in and how can you control that. So it's as much about you as it is about the machine, but from an engineer's point of view, hopefully those various aspects there will give you some insight as to how the design engineer will go about designing and building this product, and hopefully if you can compensate for those assumptions in the environment that you've got, you'll be able to get the best life out of the machine and not suffer from some of these problems.